Hey everybody, welcome to Talking Minds podcast. Really looking forward to the interview today that I've just done with Rachel Spencer and everything that she's been doing with her BeeU anti-bullying campaign, which looks to the mental health around bullying. She works with adults and children. And after spending years on the big screen, this Manchester actress and singer is now stepping out into the spotlight to shine a light on the harrowing issues that are facing especially young people and adults across the UK. You might not know the name, but she has featured in Coronation Street, Heartbeat, Doctors, 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisp. And Rachel took a step back from that career and now runs Sophia Management, or Sophia Management, I should say, which is a casting agency which is designed to help actors find work. She's so passionate about this subject, and that's why back in 2017 she launched the BeeU initiative, and since then has been helping young people around the UK understand the psychological impact of bullying. Come and join me and Rachel as we talk about everything to do with bullying and mental health. So please share this podcast, because you never know that a lot of people are suffering in silence over bullying and mental health. And if somebody as brave as Rachel, who's been in the spotlight, can shine a light on this subject, then everybody deserves to hear about it. I have got a very special guest. I've got Rachel Spencer with me, who is going to be talking today about her campaign BeeU, which is an anti-bullying and mental health campaign. And we've been messaging today, haven't we?
We have indeed.
And I'm a little bit giddy. I don't know why. But do you want?
I am too.
Yeah. Do you want to give us a bit of background, who you are, and kind of how you got into this? Because this is a real, for me, it's something that's really personal, and I don't think people really recognise the impact of bullying and what bullying is, really. So, do you want to give us a bit of a background of who you are and how you came to do what you're doing now?
So so my name's Rachel Spencer, and due to being a singer and an actor growing up, I changed my name to Sophia, because as a singer, Rachel never just stood out as anything particularly special. And I think we're all trying to create an image in the creative world to make yourself stand out. And my dad just turned around and said, well, what about Sophia? And I was like, why? And he was like, because Sophia, it looks like Sophia. People will call you Sophia. Then you can say, actually, it's Sophia, and it sticks. So that's kind of how we came about. And I've been an actor since I was more of a young actor. So I grew up on television, long-term TV shows, loved it. And now I've kind of taken more of the casting side. So I look after young artists, musicians, actors, and help them to get where they want to be. Hopefully in the safest and the best way that I possibly can. And on my process of the casting, I came across a couple of young clients that I actually manage who tried to commit suicide at a very, very young age, at the age of like 14, 15. And this really impacted me in the way of I wanted to do something about it. Now, when I was younger, I was really badly bullied. I won't tell you too much about that right now, but I was very badly bullied, suffered with it after for quite a long time, and I felt like I could relate to them. So we created a drama-based mental health and bullying workshop to tour around the UK, but it was going to be something that specialised on Anti-Bullying Week and Mental Health Week, and it just took off. And last year, obviously not this year due to COVID, but last year we did over 110 schools, and it was unbelievable. And Granada Reports were very supportive, and they came out and filmed a documentary on me, and it kind of led from there, really. And that's kind of where we're at now. It's obviously with lockdown, it's become even more of a big subject. But that's it, really. Thanks, Marcus.
And I think the thing is, I mean, for people who don't know, kind of most people who listen to podcasts will know my background in regards to being a police officer. But I actually started my working career as a musician in the military, and I don't think people really understand how tough it is for creative people, whether that be artists, whether that be actors, musicians. It is so cutthroat, isn't it? I mean, it really is cutthroat.
It's cutthroat in so many different ways as well. People just assume that if you can act, you can act. If if you can draw, you can draw. It's not like that. There's so many people out there that have got an excessive amount of money to be able to put, and money does get you to places. Unfortunately, you can be put in places because of money situations, looks, your weight, and it's just such a huge impact. And the thing is, being in the creatives, you do try to put your business out on social media, and by putting it out on social media, you are just in the line for attack. And sometimes it can become just absolutely horrific. And it's there's blackmail, there's all different types. But the being a creative, you want to stand out to be the best, and to do that you have to share your work, you have to share your face around. Without your face, people knowing who you are, you don't get work. But if you put your face out there, you're also up for being attacked.
Yeah, and I can't remember the exact quote, but I know there's a quote by Robin Williams, not Robin
Williams. Yes, there is.
Yeah, the one about saying, he's so famous and so well known, but so lonely. And I think that is so true, isn't it? Because I think one of the things that I know, and we're speaking about this, is that, I've not done anything famous, but I have been around famous people. And actually the nicest of famous people are just normal.
Yeah.
The real, really, really good actors, good musicians are really normal. But I think a lot of people in that industry feel as though they have to wear a mask, they have to show up a certain way, they're having to pretend. And I think that's amplified, because I think we all do that anyway.
Yeah.
We all wear a mask. We don't. I always say to my clients, that voice inside you, the one that one that if anybody knew what you said to yourself, you'd end up locked away in some padded cell. That voice.
Yeah.
And they go, yeah. It's just like, and that's it, isn't it? That's what we're disguising that. And I guess a lot of is in their job that they do, it's escapism. Would you say that's true?
Oh, it's a persona. It's 100%. It's escapism. It's a persona. It's trying to be something that you're not. Although you have a passion for doing something, again, you can put a canvas up and you can be something that you're not, and you feel like you've got away from being yourself for a moment. And you were exactly right. Robin Williams did say that quote, and he said that unfortunately just before he passed away. And it's true. It can be a very, very lonely world, because so many people spend so much time on social media and online, and a lot of people don't have anything pleasant to say. And when you're behind a screen and you're not actually speaking to somebody face to face, the nastiness just becomes to a different level.
Yeah.
And it's quite scary.
Yeah. I mean, before I joined the police, I was actually, I was a CEOP ambassador, so child exploitation online protection. So I did a lot of training around that. And it's so difficult for, even though there's laws around it now, it's so difficult to prove. And a lot of people just say, oh, well, come offline, don't be online. But, especially now where we are at the moment, it's so difficult not to be online, isn't it?
Yeah. That's how you communicate.
Yeah. And it's so, so difficult.
Yeah, go on. No, I was just saying, it was just going off what you were saying about with your job. My partner is absolutely nothing like me in the terms of acting. He could be an incredible actor. He's so funny. He's top on his accents. But my partner actually takes sex offenders and paedophiles off the street. That's his job. So in another way, he's also dealing with children's mental health and well-being, and young adults as well. And this is obviously something that he's interested in other ways, because as a job, that his mental state can be affected with the work that he does.
Yeah, and you don't realize, one of the rules of the mind is around, we crave to make connection and avoid rejection. And that goes very much back to our primitive times. It's about, if you were out in the savannah, or you were out in the jungle and you were left on your own, the tiger's going to kill you. And that's still playing out, but we do it in a different way now. So instead of going, I'm a good hunter, or I'm a good cook, or I can build something, now we're trying to find our place in the world. And Marissa talks about something called, so Marissa Peer, for those who listen to the podcast will know that he's my mentor, and Marissa works with top celebrities, top actors over in LA, all over the country. And one of the things that we know is there's 4 roles that people tend to play. And I don't know if you've heard of this, but we're either the talented one, we're either the giver or the carer, we're the rebel, or with the sick one. And I mapped my journey from being the talented one through to being the carer, to then becoming the rebel. And then finally, all of those roles were taken and became the sick one. So you can only actually take one of those roles. So I guess when in the acting world and in that world, if everybody's competing, it's so exhausting, isn't it?
It's exhausting. And the thing is, which is what I've been dealing with a lot of my clients over the lockdown period. They're like, well, what can I do to make sure that I'm not forgotten? All that hard work that I put in before lockdown, because TV has stopped. How can I make sure that all that work and money that I spent into becoming a better person, a better artist, not a better person as such, but a better artist, I don't want that to kind of go away. I want to really improve. So I've been doing a lot of like online teaching, but you do get forgotten. And this is why people are always trying to push to improve themselves, to better themselves, and add different techniques through the lockdown period, because it's like we're afraid of being who we are, and we're looking around and thinking, well, what's that person doing? What's that person doing? What can I do to be better than them? When really we should just be focusing on what we're doing and doing it the best way we possibly can. And with what you were just saying, there's a massive thing now on like face, like implants, and trying to even improve our looks. We are who we are. This is why I say be you, be yourself, be unique, because so many people having all this Botox, and I'm not against it. If that's how you want to be, that's absolutely fine. But everyone's becoming very same looking, and we're losing our uniqueness. And I think we're afraid of being who we are, in case we're forgotten about. And some people do this surgery to kind of still be talked about as such.
Yeah, and it comes down to 3 things. You know, most mental health issues come down to 3 things. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough.
Yep.
I'm different. That's not available to me. And we compare outwards. And it's interesting. I always use the quote, why be the same? Because if you take the game of Tetris and fit in, you disappear. So actually, we're all... I
love that.
We're all different. Therefore, we're all the same.
Yeah.
If you want to be the same, be different, because we're all different. Because you know, you look at life from different perspectives. So we can both be stood in the same room, but we're not looking at the same thing at exactly the same angle.
No.
And I think this is where a lot of people do look outwardly, and this is one of the powers of RTT. It's about, you've got the answers. And what I say to my clients is that your subconscious mind is basically a recording studio. It's recording every single sense that's coming into your body since the day your cells started to divide.
Yeah.
So if you want to find out where the issues are, yes, you can look to your past, but it's not, when it comes to bullying, when it comes to anxiety, it's not the thing that's the issue. It's the feeling that you attach to the thing, the feeling that you attach to the story, you know.
Yeah.
And you can't, nobody can make you feel bad. Somebody told me that once, and I was like, but they do. But actually, I understand that now, because actually
because you take that emotion.
Yeah, you're a product of your environment. Everything that's been encoded onto you, you're a product of that. But it's your responsibility to be the manifestation of your future. And this is why I'm so passionate about the work that I do, because I think the people, and I would say all of the best actors, all of the best artists that really do the work.
Right? Yeah.
Finally, they go inside. They don't look outside. They actually go, oh, wait a minute, I need to go on the inside. But unfortunately, they have to wait until they're famous so they can afford to go and pay some top therapist to tell them actually that anything out there isn't important. It's what's in here.
Of course it is. But I think people are too frightened of sharing how they feel and what their opinions are, because it's not the same as somebody else's. And I think, I mean, there's so many different things that I don't agree with in the world, or I don't agree with other people doing in the world, but that's not anything to do with me. If that doesn't affect my life, why do I give an opinion? If it's not asked, I mean, if someone asked me what did I think on something, then I would give my honest opinion, but I wouldn't then pull down somebody that gave a different opinion, because my opinion isn't the same. So why is my opinion right? Why is my opinion wrong? Why is theirs right? Why is theirs wrong? I take into consideration what people say, but people are too quick now to give their opinions, and not a nice opinion. And go on.
No, I was going to say, one of the things that I often say to people when they're dealing with situations like that is that voice inside you, pretend it's the inner child. So, well, a bit of a movie thing here. If you take Voldemort and Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So how did he survive? Well, what he did is he chopped parts of his soul off and put them into Horcruxes. So in some ways, that's what we do. When something happens when we're younger and we get that trigger, that feeling of, oh, I don't feel good enough, we chop that off and stick it in a Horcrux and then put it in our body and bury it. And then when we're an adult, that same feeling rises up and the Horcrux comes to the fore. So the way that we then play that out is we play that out as the 6-year-old, as the 8-year-old. It's not the adult.
No.
It's not the adult that's playing that out. And then when we say, well, why are you acting? You go, well, I know I shouldn't do that, or I shouldn't feel that way. We're trying to use logic. But logic isn't powering that. Emotion is powering that. And it's normally the emotion of a small child that something happened years and years ago that might be insignificant. It might have been, when you were 6 or 7, your teacher told you off. And now you're there 35 being told off by your boss.
Yeah.
And it's that parent-child relationship.
Yeah, of course it is, yeah.
Because it's subconscious. We don't realize we're playing that out. And I often say that people who are in charge, whether that be a director, or whether that be a conductor or whatever it is, you're not in a position of authority. You're in a position of responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
But people don't want to take responsibility, do they? That's the biggest issue. Yeah,
and I think parenting has got a lot to do with it as well, and encouragement. And I do counselling. I was lucky enough to pass my counselling and psychotherapy exams, and now I'm helping other people. And I say a lot of the time with a parent, you don't have to pay for counselling and psychotherapy. There's things that you can do to put into place yourself that will help that child. And there's a video on YouTube. It's absolutely brilliant. And it's not over here, it's in America, I think. And it's a parent that taught her little boy, who's 3, I think. And when he walks to school, every step that he takes, he says something positive. So he goes, I am cool, I am brave, I am special, I am me, I am cool. And he repeats it all the way to school, and he skips it. And he smiles every day, he smiles, and then he picks a different 3 words. And his mum said, I want him to feel positive, and I want him to explore positive comments to himself that he can then share with like other students. And it went global, and it was just absolutely fantastic. And I say to parents, we're so quick to criticize ourselves. We're so quick to watch what other people are doing. And I think that's the problem with bullying. People are far too busy looking at other people and looking at people's successes and thinking, well, why can't I be like that? The other thing is, some people would look at that success and think, gosh, wish I could do that. Right, I'm going to go and do that. Or congratulations on what you're doing. Can you give me a bit of help on how I can make mine? Whatever. But then you get some people that will make that person's life completely unhappy, and make it miserable for them, so that they make that person become a shield, like I don't know, a shell of who they were. And that's what I've been explaining with the bullying. And I said to parents, when they're getting dressed in the morning, when they're getting ready, when they're brushing their teeth, talk to them and get them to look at themselves and say something positive about the way that they were looking that day. If they don't like the hair, then don't comment on the hair. Just say, oh, my eyes look very bright this morning, or I'm feeling really positive. I've had a great night's sleep. But we're so straight away like, I think we're all as bad. Like, how are you today? I'm not so bad, thank you. I've got a bit of a headache. Like, straight away, we have to bring a negative into the subject.
But the reason for that is because our amygdala, our primitive brain, is programmed 75% negative.
Yeah.
So I did a bit of a spoof Jack and Ori video on my YouTube channel. I'll share it with you. I did it as a bit of a laugh. And it's about Ugg and Grug. And the story, I did this, but quickly, it's about these two girls that are cave girls. And they'd go down to the river and Ugg is always moaning. Sorry, Ugg is okay and Grug is always complaining. And they're walking back and they see this tiger and the tiger eats Ugg and not Grug. And then Grug has kids and they have kids and they have kids and they have kids. So the lineage from our caveman days of being in that primitive state of fear has just gone on. The only difference is where it was a tiger or lack of food in those days, now it's money or a car or fame. We're still using the same programming, to live our lives. And this is why a lot of people can't get out of where they are, because, whether that be domestic violence, whether that be drugs, because a lot of it's learnt behavior. And as parents, nobody gives you a book. You just go off what you think is right.
Yeah.
And one of the things that one of the things is about that environmental, people blame their environment, but the environment is not where you are. So if I give you an example, that is your house that you're in? Yes, that's your house. Is that your hand? Yes. Are you a house? No. Are you your hand? Are you your body? Because you don't say am hand or am body.
No,
it's mine. So actually who you are is not represented by your physicality.
No, that's very true.
By what's in here.
Yeah.
So actually you can move house. That means you can change your body. All right, not too much, but you can change the physical. But if you don't sort out the root cause or the root of who you are and know who you are and allow yourself to authentically be able to show up, but how can I do that? Well, you've got to make sure you do the groundwork, you find the root cause issues. I always say to people, it's like when you're born, your operating system's Windows 95. You try loading TikTok onto Windows 95 operating system, it's either going to crash or it ain't going to work. And isn't that what we do physically in our body?
Yeah.
We're trying to load programs on to make ourselves better, but actually the underlying operating system won't allow that to come in.
Of course. Yeah. That's a great way of looking at it.
They're looking outwardly to, well, if I've got that car, if I've got that job, if I'm seen on social media. I've got a neighbor who, when I first started my social media, went, oh, do this to get more likes and do this. I didn't give a crap about likes. I'm going to put my content out there. I'll put my podcast out there. If people listen, great. If they don't, they don't. You're doing it for you. I'm doing it for purpose and for reason.
Yeah.
The fun. And I think that when you come from that point of view, I mean, Simon Sinek talks about this with Apple, and he says when you look at Apple and Microsoft, when they're selling, or Dell or somebody, they go, we've got this computer, it's got this hard drive, and it's got this. Why do people like Apple computers? They're not any better. It's just that Apple go, this is our product, this is who we are, and we're not bothered about the competition. We're just doing what we're passionate about.
Yeah.
And that's
absolutely.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And I think a lot of people, I mean, especially be like, as yourself, you were saying about being creative and being in the music business. When I've got young people that want to be professional artists and they write their own music, and I've sent their work off to labels, things like that, and the first thing they say is, how much following have they got on Instagram? And it's like, well, what does that matter if this person can creatively write, but they don't want to put themselves out too much? Where, I mean, the way I look at it, if on social media, you've got, unless you have something that's completely and utterly gripping, a lot of it is, you'll find young women, like with the tops off, they've got thousands of followers. You can buy your followers. So again, there's like, what's happening to being ourselves and being in control? We're losing that.
And actually, that's the thing to be, is to be authentic, because people buy from people. And if everybody's doing the same thing, if everybody, you know, you only need to go on TikTok, you know, the amount of people doing the same stuff on TikTok.
Yeah.
But actually, you want some originality. That's what makes people unique. That's what makes people stand out.
Yeah.
Is being
yeah
unique.
I'd rather be a genuine item than a replica.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is that if you are going to go into a job, and I do, you know, you've got to ask yourself, if you are going into, especially the business that you're in, is why are you doing it? Are you happy to go and be an actress or an actor or a singer, and actually just work working men clubs, or just work, you know, low budget theatres, but absolutely love it?
Yeah.
Or are you doing it because you want the fame?
Yeah.
And
that's the difference.
Yeah. You know, I think that's the thing, is that you should be able to do what you want to do, and you do it, you know, you could be on the street, and as long as you're loving what you're doing, that's the most important thing. And I think we've got this perception that we've got to chase fame, we've got to chase glory, and you're actually in bondage basically for that.
Yeah, of course.
You're never ever gonna, you know, you're never gonna get that. I know we've got a little bit off topic. So what I was gonna say is, I want to talk a little bit. We know about physical bullying. That's all, you know, the name calling and all that sort of stuff. And I had a little bit of look on a few websites about bullying, and it was quite interesting that a lot of it was around physical, it was around verbal.
Yeah.
But I want to pick up on something that, for me personally, was a really big thing, and it tips into this thing about self-perception. Is it's not what is said, it's when it's something that's not said. So the silence of bullying, or the silence of a situation.
Yeah, 100%.
You then start to create those stories and those feelings, because actually you've got nothing to hang those feelings on. You know, that person's bullying me, we can deal with that, we can evidence that.
Yeah.
Is that something that you've come across in your industry in regards to, because we've got so many policies now that people aren't allowed to bully, but you know, where young actors and actresses are being silently bullied? I'd really like your opinion on that, on the silent side of bullying.
So we try to explain to people that, I mean, it's easy said than done, especially with the fact that I myself has been horrifically bullied, and I never spoke out about it. I lied about it, and people knew that something was happening, that I wasn't in a good place, and people tried to reach out. But my bullying was in a relationship. I was with a very abusive partner, and it left me in a really, really bad state. But I never spoke about it, and people knew, because I was coming home with bruises. I was coming home afraid to talk, suggesting all different kinds of things about not wanting to be here anymore. And we now to try encourage people to speak out, but people are so afraid to speak out. If you go, when I do the workshops in schools, and I say to people like, so what happens if you saw a situation of bullying? What happened if you knew someone was being bullied? I won't say anything. Well, why would you not say anything? I'm not a snitch. And that's all you get. And I'm like, well, it's not about being a snitch. It's about helping someone get out of a situation that they think they can't get out of. You sometimes can put your hand out and just help that person get out of a situation that could, which it has been known to end somebody in a dreadful way. And the term "a problem shared is a problem halved," I do believe that. And if you get, it's so important, and it's so important. And I'll tell that now, even to adults. I deal with adults that are being bullied in the workplace. Talk about it, get the help. What can we put into place for you to enjoy work, for you to want to go to work again, for you to be happy, for you not to be watching your phone all the time? I think social media has a massive effect. But some of the things I've seen, I did a live video not very long ago about one of my clients received a a Facebook message off somebody that kind of hid the name, and it just said, ooh, look at you. You don't belong in this world, whatever. Do yourself a favor and go and kill yourself. He's a 21-year-old lad. And he actually did reach out to me and message me and said, look, I've had this. I'm really upset. I don't know what to do. And it hit him really hard. So I did a Facebook Live and just said that this sort of behaviour is not acceptable. And one, you're hiding behind a screen, and two, you're hiding behind an account with no picture. So if you obviously haven't got any balls about yourself to even speak to the person themselves. And I was quite harsh about it. Anyway, this person must have been watching my live video and sent him another message and said, get that weirdo, and sent a picture of me off my screen. So he sent me that whilst I was doing the live, and I just said, and I know you're watching because you've clearly just sent him a lovely message. There are very, very clever ways of finding out who you are, where you're from, where your location is. And if you are a problem in someone's life that either they end up taking their life because of you, they will look into you, and whether you're hiding behind a screen or a false name, we will find out who you are. And next minute I got an apology through a message. Oh, I'm really sorry, I don't know what came over me. And it's just not confident. And the thing is, a lot of it can get sorted and dealt with straight away. It might take a little bit of time, but if you help somebody, and if you reach out, or if you speak about the bullying, which people don't want to, it could go away and it can be helped. And it's so important.
I think this is why it's so important. I just want to go back to the thing that you said about the snitch thing. And for me, I can answer that question, why they do that. It's very simple.
Yeah.
You've got to step away from the tribe. So
yeah.
you're in a fear of saying, well, if I step out, I'm then going to sideline myself. It's self-protection. Subconsciously, it's self-protection. If I stand up for that person, even though I know it's wrong, I'm the one who's then going to get picked on. I'm the one who's going to get bullied. And it's all about connection. It's all about survival. So it's actually not even a cognitive process. It is a deep down survival instinct that people aren't even, they're not even looking at why that's working, not even thinking about it. So what I want to do is I want to ask, if somebody's listened to this, and whether they're an adult, whether they're a child, and it's easy, I guess it's easy for us to say, go and get some help. But what would your tips be? So you've got that person who's maybe being bullied at work, or they're being bullied at school. They're that person that's got those suicidal sort of thoughts. I've been there. I didn't ask for help. And when I did ask for help, it got even worse for me.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's part of it as well. So what would your tips be to somebody who maybe is in that situation? I mean, would they reach out to you? Could they reach out to your organization?
Yeah. So we have an email address, which is called BeeUcampaign@gmail.com, and you can contact us at any time, and it's confidential and it's quiet. And the thing is, I think when people ask for help, they do it in quite a loud way. And that's where it gets the attention of, oh, you're a grass, you're this, you're snitching. It doesn't have to be. You can just be taking all this in. It can be really offending you, and it can be really hurting you, but go and speak to somebody, but do it quietly. Speak to a teacher in your dinner time. Forget about going getting a pie for your dinner or a sandwich. Go and speak to that teacher in the time. And if there's a teacher that you feel, or somebody, or not necessarily authoritative, but somebody that has the contacts or will be able to help and listen to you, that you trust. And trust is a massive thing.
I was just about to say, trust is huge, isn't it? That's the
trust
thing.
is huge, massively. And if you go and speak to that person and say, look, I'm getting really badly bullied, it's getting beyond a joke, I don't know what to do about it. Can I speak to you in private time? Could I speak to you when you've got a moment? Don't rush and try and get everything out. And it's really important that you do reach out. And a lot of the time, these people are weak people. These are not good people. These are not people with power. These are not people who are better than you. And it doesn't make you a weak person for asking for help. It means that you are in control and you don't want this to carry on occurring, because you feel like you're digging yourself in a hole that you can't get out of. And you'd be surprised at how many people around you have dealt with the same thing and would be absolutely more than happy to help you. But
vulnerability is courage.
Yes.
And just one thing, I think if you're on the flip side of that, so maybe you're a teacher listening to this, maybe you're in that position and somebody comes to you and you go, I don't know how to deal with that. I don't know what advice to give. I mean, one of the things that I would say is actually, and I talked about this on my last podcast about the difference between sympathy and empathy.
Yeah.
If you've been in that situation, say, listen, I've been in that situation myself, but tell me about it. Because often people just want a space to be heard. They don't actually want any advice. And I think that's really important if somebody's coming to you, is don't try to say, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that. It's, what do you need from me? Ask that simple question. What do you need from me?
Absolutely. And the worst thing that you can possibly do when someone says, if someone messaged you and said, oh, I've had a really bad day, I've lost a family member, and you go, oh yeah, I know how you feel. No, you don't. You don't know how somebody feels at all. Everyone deals with things in completely different ways. So don't try and let somebody talk, let somebody give you what they need, and you take it in and listen. If you can help, then great, but don't try and take the power off them by saying, I know how you feel, I've done that, and I've done this, and this is what I did to help myself. That isn't you right now. The person that needs your help will say, I just want to talk to you. And if they ask you then for some advice, just say, well, from what you've told me, this is how I would deal with it. How does that sound to you?
Yeah.
If that's good, then we'll work at it together. If that's not how you think we should deal with it, tell me what you think and let's find another pathway. But if you're being bullied, take the time to do things properly and learn about how your journey, how you could get yourself out of that situation with the support of other people. It's not something that needs to be rushed and done in 24 hours. If it's something that takes a bit of time and you have to do things quietly and behind closed doors, then so be it. Yeah. And if you don't feel you can talk to a parent about it, then talk to somebody that you think you can.
I think also just to be mindful that if you are in that situation, remember you're going into fight or flight, and be aware that you might not be thinking straight, and that's perfectly fine. And that's why it's really important to open up and do that. I'm gonna get the show in the show notes. I'm gonna put all your contacts in there so that people can get a hold of you in the show notes anyway. But yeah, I just think it's such a massive subject, and I'd like to get you on again at some point, because I think it's so important that people, and I'd
love to, Marcus, because I think we've got so much more to talk about.
Yeah. So what I was going to ask you was, we always ask people, what is their go-to question? What is their go-to quote? So when you came through what you came through, what was it that gave you your power back? You know, was there a quote that you used? What was it that allowed you to go from where you were in that relationship to step into your authentic self and not feel that you needed to be a victim of bullying? Was there a quote, a phrase? Is there anything that...
It was more of a phrase than a quote. It was more like, you've took 3 years of my life, you won't be taking the rest of it.
Yeah. Love that.
Followed by a swear word.
You can put expletives in podcasts. Yeah. But I think that's it. I mean, one of the things that I was going to just end with, really, for me, is this is beautiful, this phrase, and it's, never take advice or criticism from somebody you wouldn't go to for help.
Oh, I love that. I haven't heard that, and I like that.
So I say that a lot to my clients. So if you got somebody bullying online, you just ask yourself that question: if I was stuck, would I go to that person for help? No, I wouldn't. Right. So why am I even letting that entertain my head? And it's just such a powerful quote that you can just say to yourself when somebody is acting up or they're acting in a certain way. Go, you know, see that inner child of theirs coming out, see them as a 6-year-old playing out, and just ask yourself, you know, if you're an adult and that person's playing up like a child, am I going to go to a 6-year-old for help in the situation? No, I'm not. So if I'm not going to go to them to take advice to help me, then I'm certainly not going to take what they're telling me.
100%. 100%.
I think that's a really important thing that, for me, people can take away when it comes to bullying. And that's the way that I kind of dealt with it. It was like, actually, that's what you feel, that's your perception. I mean, my chief inspector said to me, I know we're going to wind up in a minute, but my chief inspector said to me, he said, but what if it all doesn't work out? And I said to him, yeah, but what if it does?
I've tried.
Yeah. And I'd rather step into my authentic self, show up as who I am, and let people have a go at me, but know that I'm doing what I'm doing from a place of passion
and being real.
And being real. Yeah. So I think
100%.
That's a good, maybe a good tip to end on. Is be your authentic self. Don't be scared of who you are, and don't take criticism that you wouldn't go to for advice.
Absolutely. I love that quote.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think
thank you
on this. And yeah, I think it's an important subject. I think especially now at the moment, with everything going on, I think it's so difficult. So yeah, so if you are listening to this podcast, you know, share this, because there could be some diamonds in here, you know, that could help somebody who's listening to this who doesn't know where to get help. And as I say, we'll put all your contact details and everything. And I really want to support this campaign and really support you, because I think you're going to have a lot of people backing you, aren't you? I mean, there's, you know,
hopefully, and yourself, and thank you. And it's for people like yourself that allows us to get heard. I always say that what I do is not just something that we do, it's teamwork, and it's people like yourselves and other companies that have been supportive that allows us to get known and out there and help people that are struggling.
Yeah, and I think that's my other corny phrase, team together, everyone achieves more. So
I remember that from school.
More of us get this message out there, the more chance that there is that people can, you know, feel that they've got the strength to stand up and say, I'm not accepting that anymore.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Thank you so much, Marcus.
As I say, if you're listening to this, please share, because it's such an important podcast. Put any comments on there, put some likes on there. And yeah, we'll put your socials on the show notes as well, so people can get in touch with you on Instagram and all the rest of it. So cheers, Rachel. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Marcus. Take care.
Bye, everybody. We'll speak to you very, very soon on the Talking Minds podcast.